welcome back for another episode of the Wednesday Watch List. This is my weekly look ahead to the new books coming out this week on New Comic Book Wednesday, April 10th, 2024. So these are a few things that I noticed are already either selling for a premium, some covers that kind of caught my eye. There's some cool incentives, some variants, and some later prints that I'm keeping my eye on, and things that I just generally want to read personally and have on my own personal pull list that I just want to talk about just a little bit. Hopefully you're enjoying this series as well as everything else here on the channel. Please let me know what you think in the comments down below. Make sure that you like, you subscribe, you hit the alert button so you don't miss anything. You keep telling your friends so we can keep growing the channel. And if you want to see the books I'm keeping my eye on this week, you just got to hang on for a few seconds after the intro and I will be right back. All right, let's not waste any time. Let's get right into it with my personal picks. So these are things that I think you should all be checking out, keeping an eye on, reading, and etc. So with that, I'm loving the Energon universe. It's been no secret. I'm enjoying Transformers, G.I. Joe, all of that stuff. So Transformers #7 is coming out. And yes, Daniel Warren Johnson is no longer doing the interior art here, but he is still writing it. So I am still on board for this series. We got a cover A here as well as a cover B, both of which are pretty solid. I think I get both of these anyway because I'm an OCD collector when it comes to things like this. So I try to get all the covers that I can. Mind you, I will not be buying all of the incentive variants because that is just a bridge too far and too much of a strain on my wallet personally. So, despite the fact that I do like these, there is a 1 in 10, a 1 in 25. That Soundwave is pretty cool. And even the RC there on the 1 in 50 ain't bad. I'm most likely going to just let these kind of pass me by, especially the 1 in 100 Mike Del Mundo cover, which again, it's a great cover, but I just can't afford to buy all of these. If there's one that jumps out at me that I really feel like I need to have, I've thrown up those extra dollars. But I can't do it for every book. I just can't. My budget will not withstand that. So I got to let most of these go. But if you like them, feel free to go buy any of these. Any of these incentives right now are actually trading at below ratio right now. So you can find like the 1 in 100 for like maybe $90, maybe even 80, 40 for the 1 in 50, etc. So you can generally get them at a little bit of a discount if you're pricing off of ratio values. So with that said, we're going to move on to the next book that I think you should be keeping an eye on, which is Beneath the Trees Where Nobody Sees. Granted, the story, I mean, the book seems to have lost a little bit of the momentum it had early on, where each book was coming out of the gate hot, trading at a premium from issue 1 to issue 2, etc. But here we are at issue 5, and I still think it's worth checking out and worth a read. So we'll keep an eye to see how these things are doing. These covers are very interesting, very intricate here with some of the details, especially see like the the head all kind of partially removed. Cover A. There is also a cover B as well as a 1 in 25 black and white version there. And those covers are also really cool, even though most people don't collect those. They usually like the cover A's, despite the fact that the cover B's actually appear to be like good old fashioned like fairy tale books. Like this seems like the cover to a collected edition of Grimm's fairy tales. To me, that's what I see when I look at it. So I think it's kind of cool. And the 1 in 25, I mean, sure, black and white, that's great, but I don't know. I kind of like the cover Bs, but they are not getting the same kind of love that the cover As do. All right. What else do we got here? Up next, we have Edge of Spider-Verse. So we have yet another new spider to introduce to you. This time it's Star Spider, which I'm guessing is a space-related spider of some kind. And we're getting Web Weaver back as well. So Edge of Spider-Verse 3, more and more spider characters for you to consume. Yes. Number 3. Cover A. Not bad. Couple other covers here, including there's a Peach Momoko. Pretty fun homage there to Boba Fett's uh, first cover, that Star Wars 42. I know we can get into the weeds on Boba Fett's first appearance, but by and large, everybody looks at Star Wars 42. So that is a pretty fun cover there with the homage and but with spider characters. We also have incentives for this book. We got a 1 in 10 design cover that's looking at that Star Spider character, as well as a virgin version for that 1 in 50, and an interesting Spider Gwen there on the 1 in 25. It seems like her new title got pushed back a little bit, so think we got to wait till the end of May now. I thought it was supposed to come out sooner, but it looks like we got to wait a little bit on her new series, which I'm sure everybody's already looking at that Frizzen cover, the 1 in 100, and there's a Villalobos on the 1 in 50. I get it. There's a lot of things coming that people are looking forward to. There's some Art Adams Mystique coming in a couple of weeks, etc. But we're not going to get that far ahead. We are just looking at this week. So let's stick to this week and keep moving this on, because even these incentives here, again, they're selling for right around ratio. We're talking about the 1 in 25 is like 20 to 30. So maybe a little bit less, maybe a little bit more. But basically, it's right in that kind of ratio range. Same thing with the 1 in 50. You could find these at a discount. You can pay a little bit of a premium if you want, but that's kind of where they're being priced. So we're just going to leave them there for now and move on to our next book, which is Thrawn. So Thrawn Alliance, number 4. Anakin on the cover here. Pretty cool cover here. I like this cover A. It is solid. It is a better looking Thrawn than we've seen on a lot of these Thrawn covers lately. And we are getting some variants here as well, including a B cover, which again, ain't too bad. And then we are also getting a Master and Apprentice variant. It's a new series of books, series of variants they're giving us with a Master and an Apprentice. So we got Ahsoka and her apprentice, Sabine Wren, here, which again is a pretty fun cover. We got another one of these coming up later, but for now, there's our Master and Apprentice. And we also have a pretty fun 1 in 25 EM Gist cover here. I do like this. His face does look a bit like the television version. The Lars Mikkelsen version of the character. And, it's EM Gist, so it's beautiful painted cover here. I do like that his ship is there with the design underneath his Star Destroyer. I think that's really cool. I like this 1 in 25 for number 4. And seems a few people do, because it is trading at a little bit of a premium so far, with some sales $35 up to $55. But then there's also sales, as you can see, that are best offer on $20. So there were cheap ones already pre-sold. And then you can see an early pre-sale for $65. Pre-sales are kind of crazy like that. Whatever the price pops up, a lot of times you see the cheap ones will go like that. And then we'll kind of get a better gauge on the price as the week goes when the book actually comes out. So despite the fact that we see those sales and we see the asking prices, which are looking for $40 to $52 to $60, until those books start selling for those prices, we don't know for sure if what those pre-sales will have. I mean, because we're gauging this book based off of a handful of sales. I mean, realistically, in the comic market, what are 3-4 sales weeks ahead of the release of a book? It's really nothing. It's a drop in the bucket. That's why you'll see that I won't put books that got like one sale on eBay on the hot list, because this one sale of the entire market out there, it's just not enough. It's not enough for me to feel like there's any sort of movement or momentum. A lot of this is kind of guesswork, and we're just seeing what's going on here. But I don't know. That's just kind of an inside look into what I'm looking at when I'm making up the list, which I will do later in the week. Even though I do this watch list looking ahead, these are books I will be keeping an eye on as the week goes on, but I'm not making any determinations yet. Not until books are actually out on shelves and released, and people have books in hand, collectors, not just dealers. Because yes, a lot of dealers get their books early, but I don't care about that. I'm talking about the people who are actually out there going to the shops and keeping this hobby alive and spending their hard-earned dollars to buy comic books. That's where I'm trying to gauge where this market is. So with that said, let's get to the next book that I think we should be keeping an eye on, which is Ultimate X-Men number 2. I liked issue 1, even though it didn't feel a lot like an X book. It felt more just like a little a loner high school kind of story. We'll see where this goes from here. I'm going to give Peach Momoko's book a chance and give it through this first arc to see how it plays out. But we're getting issue 2. That character everybody was buying her first appearance, Maystorm, should be showing up here as well. And we got a rendition there on the cover A, but we also have other variants here. And you got Armor showing up. Like, there's some interesting characters here after all. But with that, there is a couple of incentives. There's a 1 in 10 design cover once again, and then a 1 in 25 that features Armor. Pretty close to putting this in here because once again, it's trading right around that ratio, a hair above like a lot of $25 to $30 sales, but not a ton. So I didn't bother throwing that into the slide yet, but just kind of give you a heads up. That's kind of where I've seen that one so far. We'll see what happens come Wednesday, though. I am more interested in seeing how this next book is going to perform based off of the popularity of the cartoon, which is phenomenal, by the way. If you haven't watched X-Men 97 yet, do yourself a favor and go check it out as soon as you can because it's fantastic. I know I'm biased. I'm an X fan. I love the original cartoon. I love X-Men and I love that era of the X-Men. But still, what they're doing with that animation and telling the stories in the manner in which they're doing it, where they are kind of speeding through a lot of the popular comic book storylines, but they're doing so in a way that it doesn't feel rushed all the time. I think it's a great job of what they're doing and touching on all that stuff of comic books and lore, but still giving an entertaining animated show all at the same time without being too kiddie, but not being too adult and going overboard there either. I think it's a delicate balance, and I think it works. With that said, we do have the prequel comic that is continuing here with issue 2. So X-Men 97, number 2. Pretty fun Wolverine Sabretooth cover there on the cover A. There is a sweet David Mack cover, and then I think it's David Baldion, if I've gotten the name right. I know I might misspeak sometimes in pronouncing artist names, but I'm just going off the top of my head as I run through this deck that I made earlier today. With that, those are the only variants that are cover price variants. We do have one incentive, which is a virgin version here, which is, again, great cover. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous, but 1 in 100 is steep. If this were 1 in 25, I probably would have bought in. I would have bought in around ratio or so. But I don't want a 100. I can't be throwing $100 out there for this. So, again, we're looking at prices. Early pre-sales aren't even $100. They're $175, $200. And therein lies a little bit of a difference because with a 1 in 100 incentive, there aren't quite as many, and people are paying a phenomenal premium in a lot of cases like this. They're paying double the ratio and paying $200 for some of these. Granted, some of these are like a week or so ago, but that 175 was just today. So that is pretty recent on the pre-sale. And then when you look at what's available ahead of Wednesday, 163 and $200. So it's basically $200. That's what we're looking at. And there's a lot of watchers there on that one. And that 163 is coming out of the UK. And it looks like it has a pretty high shipping price for some reason, like above the norm. But with that all said, we'll keep an eye on it. We'll see what this does as the week rolls on. But it is one to watch as it has already been moving at a decent clip above normal on the pre-sale market. Now, what else do I want to read? A bunch of these books I can't wait to read. I want to read that X-Men 97. I want to read the Ultimate X-Men. But there's still a whole pile of other books that I personally can't wait to read. So that's what we're going to get into next. I know a lot of you like to hear about all the hot books and first appearances and all that fun stuff. But let's remember, these things have stories in them, and they are a joy to read. A lot of the time, not all the time. Some of these books suck. But this is what they're meant to be. They're meant to be read. So read them, enjoy them. That's what this hobby is about. I know not everybody hobbies that way, but let's not forget this corner of it that people actually enjoy the stories inside these books. Now, I'm a big fan of Brainiac, so I'm looking forward to another, cool Brainiac story. You mix in, we just came off of the Bizarro Superman stuff here on Action. So Action 1064 seems like we're getting Brainiac, who's leading like an army of like, are they Caesarians? Or I can't remember how you pronounce Lobo's race, but it looks like there's a race of Lobo characters that Brainiac must have stored in one of his little miniature cities that he is unleashing on Superman here. At least that's what I gather. Haven't been completely keeping up with this story, but this one is kind of piqued my interest, which is why I want to put it on my read list because, like I said, I like Brainiac, so I want to see where this goes. 1064, cover A. Pretty cool. I believe this is part of a connecting cover, so we'll see where the next one goes next time out. B covers and C covers. Look, we got Lobo showing up there. There's also more. There's a D and E, I guess, as well as a foil version of that cover A, which is what DC's been doing a lot lately. I mean, thankfully, it's not an incentive, but if you just like foil, you want to spend the extra dollar or two to get that shiny foil, I mean, go feel free. Go ahead. And then we got can't think of that ape's name with the brain that shows. I mean, we just had that April special too, but I can't remember his name. If you remember it, throw it in the comments down below or in the live chat and help me out. Because again, I can't remember everything off the top of my head. I know a lot, but I don't know everything. With that said, I know I like this 1 in 25. It just looks cool. It's a Brainiac cover after all. Like I said, I'm a fan of Brainiac, so this 1 in 25 ain't bad. It also is not selling for any sort of premium. There's copies moving for like $10, $12, 15, so well under ratio if you are interested in getting it. I've thought about it, not sure. I might just get a regular old cover A, just like I said, to check this story out and see where it's going to go. But I did think this was kind of cool. And at those prices, like $10, all right, I might be in for 1 to 25 or $10 if I like it. That would be more of an after. If I'm enjoying the story, then I might go back. That's how I would look at it. But by then it might be too late, and this book could be expensive for all I know. So that's the chance you take sometimes. But like I said, can't buy everything. Can't buy everything I want. With that said, I also want to check out Batman and Robin. So, Batman and Robin number 8. I haven't been paying much attention to this series, but we did review, I think, the last issue on TAC a few weeks ago. And there's this whole man bat cult. Seemed kind of cool. The art inside is really good. I like it. So, I'm curious where this is going to go with this next issue now. I got kind of hooked. Like, it wasn't that it was the best story, the greatest story, but it was interesting enough that I want to know where it's going. So, we got this, like I said, this man bat cult. You got Shush, which is see how she's related to Damien, and all that fun stuff rolling out. I'm curious, so I want to check this out and read this one. Issue 8's coming out with cover A. There is a pretty solid B cover there, as well as fun little father son fight in the Batcave with that giant dinosaur that we all know is down there with the big penny and the big Joker card somewhere. But those are all open order, just variants. And then we have a 1 to 25, which is, again, it's pretty nice. And it's also one of those books from these DC variants where it seems nobody's really investing a lot of dollars in them. So pre-sales are around that, like $10 to $15 again. So if you like it, you should be able to obtain one if you really want one. Because if it doesn't have like a hot girl on the cover, it seems that you can get them at a discount from ratio. But if it's got a hot girl on it, apparently you're going to pay double ratio. That seems to be what the market has decided to do the last year or so. So it continues. Now, also, to put on my reading pile, I know I read the first issue of this series, but I don't think I caught up on issue 2. But issue 3 snuck up on me. So I got to read this, I think, as well as issue 2 for Count Crowley, Mediocre Midnight Monster Hunter, number 3. This is that story by David Desmount. I can't say his name. The Polka Dot Man. He's an actor, but he also writes some comics, and this is a comic that's kind of fun with the whole. It's kind of plays with the TV Monster Hunter, the TV Monster Hunter show, but actually hunting monsters kind of thing. It's kind of fun. Anyway, I like this. I want to go check out, like I said, the last issue in this one to kind of catch up on my reading. And I do actually like this B cover that also comes along with this one as well. It is pretty solid, so keep an eye out for that. Keep an eye out for that. This next series we also reviewed on TAC a few weeks back, and it paled in comparison to I Heart Skull Crushers. They had a kind of a similar vibe to them, but I just wasn't in love with Napalm Lullaby number 1. I felt a little lost at times and just wasn't into it. But I will be reading issue 2 to see if, sometimes the issue 1s, they don't always get their point across so cleanly, and you might need a little bit more, time with the story to breathe to really get into it. So I'm going to give this one a little bit more time and see where we're going. So issue 2 here is cover A, and then there is a 1 in 10. So they kept it simple, despite the fact that issue 1 had a 1 in 10. Wait, a 1 in 5, a 1 in 10, 1 in 20, 1 in 30, 1 in 40, 1 in 50, and a 1 in 60. Way too many variants. Thankfully, issue 2 is an A and a 1 in 10. Not a bad model. I could be on board for this type of model if they go with this going forward. Just saying. It's the IDW model, except maybe you'll get an A, a B, and the 1 in 10. Okay, I could deal with that too. Just don't overdo it. Nothing going on as far as pre-sales on that 1 in 10. There's under ratio like $8, could go to 15, but 1 in 10s are always like that. Like, it's hard to gauge until the actual day of when these books release, and if there's a demand that can't be met, that's when you see these things start to really pop if need be. But for right now, you can get one of these if you're looking for it. All right, what else do I got in my reading list? I think the last one I got here is Wolverine. Sabretooth War is still rolling on. It feels like it's been going on forever. And here we are at issue 47. So we got a few more to go. X-23 here with a Savage Showdown. Pretty cool. Lionel Yu, cover A. Then there is a couple other covers here. You got the Hildebrandt cover, which it came close. That one came close to getting Nutshot of the Week, but I decided, we'll leave it alone. It's not quite enough under, but then we also have the Sabretooth Through the Ages, where they've been showing us how awful Sabretooth's uniforms and costumes have been throughout the years, because he has never had the coolest looks. Just saying. He really hasn't. You go back and look at some of these covers. It's just not, yeah, just doesn't work for him. And we have some incentives, which will be virgin versions of two of these on the 1 in 50 and the 1 in 100. So, yeah, if you're interested, they're out there. They're right at ratio to less. Again, we're talking, you can find them for 80 for the 1 in 100, $30 even for the 1 in 50, maybe even 25. Like some of these you can get at a deep discount because they have these high incentive ratios because they are printing a lot of this story and a lot of this book right now. And some of the covers hit, some of them don't. This appears to be one that's not really hitting as far as demand on the aftermarket, despite the fact that you have two female characters there on the cover. We'll see as the week goes on if that heats up at all. But for right now, the market's not really throwing extra bucks on those pre-sale prices. Now, I haven't loved this series, but I'm going to keep rolling. I'm going to keep rolling with it, and that is Thundercats. So we got issue 3. Issue 2, we just got a new character introduced. Now we're rolling on with issue 3. Let's see where this is going. A lot of covers here. A lot of covers. Too many, which is Dynamite's fault. I mean, Dynamite's problem is they do too many. Just way too many covers. We don't need all of these covers. I get it. Their model, I guess, supports them doing this, but honestly, I just don't see the need. Nakayama's fine. I like it. The Perillo's kind of cool. And then we got others that we just don't really need. I don't know. They're all right, but why? Why do we have all these? Here's more. These are all cover price, regular cover versions. And there's also an action figure cover, which I just cut because, well, I just didn't care for it. And here, we got a few more. And some of these are like late releases and FOC late reveals, like the Rob Liefeld there in the middle, which I'm going to get to in a second because this, again, I'm not here to just completely run down Liefeld. But apart from the fact that these 3 characters look stiff as hell just standing there, we'll get into a minute what else I see on this cover. So this goes into the WTF section. So let's just do it.
WTF, Gary? WTF. What the fuck does WTF mean? What the fuck? Oh.
All right. I'm going to get into it. Go back to this cover because this cover is just inappropriate. I mean, look at her hand placement.
That's not appropriate.
Do you see it now? Kind of hidden by the logo, but why is both her hands there like she's doing double duty? Once I noticed it, I was like, wow, okay. And they just don't look happy about it either. There's a lot going wrong with this cover. Don't like it. Don't like it. Speaking of covers, I just don't personally care for. Here's another one. Once again, not here to hate on Peach Momoko as an artist because I do like a lot of her work, but sometimes I just don't get it. I just don't get this big head and the shoulder. Like it's just weirdly proportionate. And is that his butt? What happened to the crack? Like, why does it look like he just has one butt cheek? What happened to the other half of his ass? Just saying. You could have covered it with these flowers or smoke, or I don't know what he's standing in to begin with. Like this is all just vague. There's smoke and just webs just everywhere, and then there's, I don't know, these flowers. Is the smoke? I don't know, but you could have used that to cover up the things you decided not to finish. It's just weird looking to me. So, but speaking of unfinished, this is also Amazing Spider-Man. What is it? 47 this week. Yeah, I almost put it in the reading list because I do get these. I get these out of habit almost. I don't know. I'm just not grabbed yet. We'll see. But this cover, come on, man. JR. This is just boring as hell. And it just looks so blah. Okay, Chasm's coming back. As far as storyline goes, okay, Chasm. And we got, what is our name? Hallows Eve. Sure, but really, that's the best you could do with Hallows Eve after all the hubbub and hoopla this character has gotten. You took all of 5 minutes to draw this? Like, what's going on with her chin and that hood? Like, it just doesn't seem like it fits right. I don't know. This is just some lazy. It just seems lazy. Maybe it's not. I mean, I shouldn't be judging in that way, but I just don't care for this. I just don't care for this. And for our nut shot of the week, here's another weird one for you. Hexpaw number 3. Yeah, this looks like one of those weird, like, 90s indie books that you just find just buried out there in the boxes. You're like, "What is going on here?" It's like it's kinda like doing the cheesecake thing where they're trying to be a little risque, but what's going on here with this werecats, area? Because there's, there's there's a wrench grabbing him. Why? Granted, I'm not reading this, so maybe there's an in-story explanation as to why we've got this meant to be attractive female on the cover, and then a werecat guy who's got a pair of pliers that are just snapped onto his junk for some reason. Get it? I don't get it. So, hence why it's in WTF. And I had to do that, and I had to do that early because of that Liefeld cover, because otherwise we would have done what we normally do after my reading list, which is get into those new number ones for the week. So let's get to those because there are a handful of new number ones that I find kind of interesting and want to give you guys a heads up for. I'll check out a few of these, kind of curious about them, but I can't get them all. So if any of these hit or you read them and you think they're good, again, hit me up in the comments below. I mean, that's what this community should be all about. Let's talk comics. Let's talk about reading comics. Not everything has to be about prices and what's selling, what's not. Let's let's read these books too, because yeah, that's what they're for. But with that said, monsters are my business. Kind of looks like a goon kind of vibe here. Like that's what they're going for. I don't know. It's a Cullen Bunn who could start off series great. I don't know if how far this will go, but he can get you a good number one. So I'm expecting this to be an interesting book too. Because like I said, he's pretty solid at doing those number one issues. He can roll out new number ones like that. And with that, kind of curious. So monsters are my business. Also, we're getting a Hercules number one. Hey, I don't really care for these Disney books either. There's just so many covers. It just seems like a money grab. I don't even know who these are meant to be for because they can't be for kids because kids can't be spending $4 on 10 different covers. Like, I don't know, but whatever. Hercules out of Dynamite, multiple covers here. Boom, boom, boom. They're just rolling them out. And then you got incentives that are just different variations of all these covers. Just tiresome. But it's another number one if you are interested in collecting these Disney books. You know, we had the Cruellas and the Scar and whatnot. Maleficent, those are all seem to be villains, but now we're getting a hero story here with Hercules. So who knows? Maybe it'll be good. Let's move to IDW, who's giving us a new pony book. Set your sail. Usually pay attention to these because if there's usually an incentive, people start to gravitate towards these because they're like, oh, it's a weird pony book incentive. I guess I got to get it because it's probably hard to find. In this case, there is no incentive. It's just an A and a B cover. So if you like My Little Pony, there you go. 2 shots at what looks like some underwater mermaid sort of story. I don't know. IDW. Who's also giving us this the best of Alopex. I don't really know this character. I'm not a big turtle guy. Despite the fact that I think we'll be doing turtles next week on TAC because issue 150 is coming. Issue 150 is coming. They're ending the current run, and then Jason Aaron's going to start up a whole new storyline that's kind of a continuation, but kind of a reboot. I don't know. We'll see how they're wrapping it up to know exactly how that plays out. But the final issue is coming, I believe, next week, if not the week after. So I think it's next week because that's what we're going to do on TAC. So with that said, we got this best of one shot. So if you're curious about this Alopex character, as I'm mildly curious, but best of, I'm assuming it's just reprints of other stories. So there you go. You can go catch up here on this one shot. But I think these things are kind of pricey too. I think these are like $8 to $10 just because they're collected editions and thicker than normal. With that said, Spawn. Yeah, we're getting a futuristic version of Spawn of some kind. I don't really get it. Again, I'm not really reading Spawn, so I don't know. But Rat City, getting a new story, new Spawn in the future. It looks like Batman Beyond, but Spawn. And apparently, this character is not dead, but his armor or something has the Spawn power. I don't know. I don't know. Batman Beyond, but Spawn. And there is a sketch cover. Surprise, there's no other variants on this. Just cover A and a sketch cover. So at least there's that. If you want to check it out, you only really got one book to worry about. Top Cow's throwing out this Saint Mercy Godland #1 that looks like some sort of like a monster story of sorts. So yeah, old timey old west. Looks like we got monsters, zombies. I don't know. Looks kind of curious. And it's Top Cow. Mark Silvestri's corner of Image, or it used to be. Now they're kind of on their own, but still under the Image umbrella. But yeah, I don't know. New #1, and there's a B cover here on this one as well. If you're interested, kind of a cool cover. I like that look. I like the B cover, I think, more than the A, but that's just me. And then Tony Fleece has got a new book coming out here, Uncanny Valley, which appears to have a lot of characters that are very similar or familiar looking. Looks has a vibe of like something epic, or even some of the covers we've seen on Local Man. But Uncanny Valley, multiple covers here. This is the cover A. There's going to be a sketch as well as another open order variant there, and then we do have some incentives. I'm just kind of curious to give this a read, and I do like some of these incentives, but could be kind of pricey. Like the 1 in 10 version in the middle, and the 1 in 25. It's kind of cool, but that 1 in 50 I think is really awesome. I don't know. I just like the old school Looney Tunes. Looney Tunes were my jam as a kid, and I just kind of like that callback to it. I don't know, looks cool. And for 1 in 50, it no no copies have sold as of yet, and this isn't a book that's going to have a lot out there, but there is one listed right now, but it wants over $100. So I don't know, we'll see. We'll keep an eye on it. But on some of these more independent titles, it is tougher to see a lot of volume. But if these books start selling, if this book catches, these things can get very, very expensive. But apart from this, there is also an unlockable cover. It's not very clear on what retail to me, because again, I'm not a retailer. I'm just a dude who loves comics. So I don't know what dealers had to do to unlock this book, but as I understand it, it looks like it's a one per store, maybe as we've seen lately, where if they order 25 copies, they get one of these as like a thank you. But if they don't order enough, they don't get it. That's kind of how I feel. That's the kind of vibe I get by this unlockable, as it seems some places listed as a one per store. And I do know you had to qualify to get it. So it's not just everybody getting one. But, we will see how this plays out. Only one sold right now. See, again, listed as unlockable variant, sold for $15. These giveaway one per stores could go anywhere in that 15 to 20 range to start, and then all of a sudden they could heat up and go in hitting 30, 35. They could die on the vine. Who knows how this plays out? But if you look at what's asking right now as well, you see it's anywhere from 25 to 50 for this unlockable variant. So one to keep an eye on just to see, because some of these have done well of late, and others have just kind of been quickly forgotten. So, keep an eye on it. Just kind of curious. As we continue with another #1, and I think our last #1 for the week, Mad Cave is giving us When the Blood Has Dried. These covers just look awesome. There's a cover A here, cover B. I don't know the details much of what the story is. It looks like more of a medieval kind of a vibe here with the swords and the war with the arrows, etc. I just like these covers. It is intriguing. I'm kind of curious. Maybe I'll give it a look-see, flip through it at the shop. That said, we do have later prints to get into. Later printings, I'm going to start off here with this archive edition, which I guess is just like a remastered version of Labyrinth, who Marvel produced initially, but now this is coming out of Boom, I believe. I think they're the ones doing this, so that's kind of weird that they're reprinting a Marvel book, but that's kind of what's going on here. And then they have a variant cover as well. So if you're interested in Labyrinth, go for it. We are also getting a second printing on Night People #1. Yeah, creepy. Interesting. New art. That's out of Oni. So get a hold of that. I like this series. I Heart Skull Crusher. Looking forward to this. But #1, we're getting the second print here. Very bright, interesting design. Yeah, it's just like an anime story. It's just a little bit of a wild Battle Angel Velita kind of vibe. Just kind of over the top, apocalyptic world anime story. I like it. I want to see where it's going, personally. But number one, second print, right there. I don't know who hasn't gotten a copy of that Thundercats number one yet, but if you haven't, well, guess what? You're in luck. Here's a third printing, and a third printing foil version of it if you want it. If that's not enough for you, guess what? We're going to make these virgin versions too, and make these 1 in 10s. Yes, both apparently are 1 in 10. So there's a 1 in 10 on the regular and a 1 in 10 on the foil, which is just a virgin version of the same cover that we just got. Dude, is this really necessary? Seriously. Third printings, just giving us books, different versions of the same book. One's shiny, one's not. Come on now. We don't need this. I don't know. I'm not buying this, but if you want to, it's your money. You go right ahead. I already got the regular number one. What do I need a third printing for? They're not hard to find. Why are we getting later printings of this book still? I don't know. Whatever. We are getting a facsimile of basically it's the first Teen Titans here. We got Brave and the Bold, 54. We got Kid Flash, Aqualad, and Robin. So there you go. As we know, we're going to be getting a movie somewhere down the line. James Gunn teasing and all that stuff. We have a regular edition, $3.99, and then a $4.99 blank cover. And then if you want a shiny foil version, you can have it all for the low price of $5.99. So if you want it shiny, you want it not shiny, you just want the blank to have some sketch put on it. That seems to be the story for most of these facsimiles, and I get it. I have no real problem with this. It's when they start throwing incentive covers on these that it just makes no sense to me with different art. But with that said, and with this push to give us more and more versions of reprints, here we go. Ultimate Spider-Man 1. I get it. Prices have gotten pretty pricey on that first print with all of those covers. And then we had a second print and a third print with incentives. And now we have a fourth print and a fourth print blank. Okay, whatever. I don't know why this is needed, but okay. I guess they forgot to do a blank before. And then in the Ultimate Universe's style, the third printing is where we're going to get not only another version of our, issue 1, but our issue 1 third print also gets a virgin version of that cover A as a 1 in 25 incentive because, well, that's what they seem to be doing on all of those new Ultimate titles, which doesn't make it right. I don't like, again, you get it. I don't like it, but they make money, so that's why they keep doing it, because somebody out there is spending $70 to $75 on pre-sale prices for this 1 in 25 third print number 1, and then asking prices are $63 to $70. I don't know why. Why? Do you guys just not like your money? Do you not like holding on to your money? You just like buying things because they just make it, and it seems like there won't be many of them. And to be fair, I understand that idea. Oh, rarity. It's going to be rare. I mean, how many shops are going to order a third printing and get an incentive? But just because something's rare doesn't mean it's valuable. Why do you even want a 1 in 25 incentive on a third print for this book? Why do you want that? Ask yourself that. And if your answer is only because, well, there's not that many of them and I think it'll be expensive, if that's the only thing you got for me, then you probably don't need this. Because you're just hoping. But whatever. I'm not getting this. It just doesn't make sense to me. But here we go. We also got another second print for What If Venom, and this was not very good. This was a dumb story. This cover doesn't even really... It's good for the series as a whole because they're telling you all the different characters are going to really be spotlighting, but the fact that this is mostly a She-Hulk story, you would not know it by looking at this cover. Nor would you know it by looking at... This is the second print. Now we have an second print incentive, which is just Venom. This is what they had the foil edition. It's Venom. Now there's no foil, and they moved him up, and there's a lot of dead space, and it's not foil, and it is a virgin 1 in 25. That still won't tell you that this is actually a story about what if She-Hulk got infected by the Venom symbiote. You wouldn't know it by looking at the cover. Whatever. None sold. Only one out there, and they're wanting a whopping 126 and change. But that's out of the UK. That's why you'll see these weird prices because again, it's in pounds, and then you got to do conversion rates. So yeah, so they're looking like for $100, 100 pounds, I should say, and then I think that equates to the 126.12. But with that said, I don't know. If you're into it, go for it. I got to watch this. I got to track this stuff because again, I got to do the hot 10. I got to keep an eye on the market. I think these things are dumb personally, but that list ain't about me. It's not my personal pick list. It's what the market is doing and what you guys are buying out there. With that said, let's jump on. We got to start wrapping up here as we get to some of the little variant subsets that I like that I want to spotlight. Starting off with the Jim Lee. Last week we had a couple of covers. This is the Artist Spotlight DC is doing on Jim Lee. This week we only got one. So we only got this one cover. It's on Batman and Robin #8, Jim Lee cover. You're getting the Batman Who Laughs. Pretty awesome. It's Jim Lee. If you like Jim Lee's art, you're going to like these. If you don't like Jim Lee's art, you probably don't care. I like Jim Lee, so that's why I'm showing these. But this is the only one for this week. So unfortunately, we stop here. No Micronauts covers and no foreshadowing variants that we had last week from Marvel. So Marvel had a couple of Micronaut covers and a foreshadowing on that Avengers book. But we do have a handful, well, not even a handful. We only have 3, but we have a few Marvel vampire covers. These are the vampire variants. They're homage covers, looking back on some old vampire covers, the Tomb of Dracula's, etc., as we get ready for Blood Hunt. Again, speaking of Blood Hunt, I know I mentioned it last week, but this week we should be having Jack on to talk about this Blood Hunt stuff. So come join us on Wednesday if you're interested in checking out and looking ahead to Blood Hunt, which will be starting in a new next couple of weeks. I think it starts in May, like the full-on event. But we're leading up there now, and we're priming the pump and doing so with these variants. Starting off with this week, we got a Fantastic Four, number 19, and it's an Invaders cover, which got Baron Blood. So that's pretty fun. So they're not all just Dracula covers, just vampire-related covers. And pretty good. 1-for-1 representation, all the word bubbles, etc., matching up with new text. Kind of fun. We are also getting Incredible Hulk number 11, which is a Tomb of Dracula number 17 homage here, as you can see with the with the kid and the lady. I'm assuming it's his mother. And even though Dracula is more hiding around the corner on the original, Hulk seems to be just busting out and going right for it. But I guess they're trying to tie it into what's also going on in the Hulk story, so they had to be a little more looser with the homage. But still, word bubbles and text all matching up pretty good. And then we only got one more. Last week we had a bunch more, but this week we only have 3. The last one here is Invincible Iron Man number 17. You got Emma. I'm going to stake Tony there. Snowbound in Hell. And yeah, Tomb of Dracula number 19 on that one. So again, pretty cool. Color scheme's a little different. I kind of wish they would have went with the blue instead of the purple. I think the blue would have helped make this one pop a little bit more with the reds, the color scheme of Iron Man. The blue would have helped, but it is what it is. And let's get over to cheesecakes. So we have some cheesecake covers. Not a ton this week, but we do have a few. So let's just run through a handful of them before we get to our covers and incentives and call it a night. So, cheesecake covers. First up, Suicide Squad Dream Team number 2. There's a Harley that kind of fits the bill here a little bit. None of the other covers do, just this one. So you got got a Harley cover. Not bad. Jennifer Blood. We've seen these over time. Always have a Linzer, which is pretty cool, and it looks like a Lyrics Lee as well. So if you're into it, Battle Diary. What is this, issue 5? So Jennifer Blood, go for it. Then we also have Dynamite giving us Sweetie Candy Vigilante. So yeah, this is a little bit of a weird thing, but you see why it's here. It kind of has a little bit of an animated, old school, kind of like a animated Disney vibe and whatnot here, and all this candy related nonsense. But we're also giving you, yes, some stuff that's like right in your face. So yeah, if you like it, there you go. Pretty fun. And then one of those, if you notice, Pulp Fiction homage there, homage on volume 2 number 2. Kind of fun. But we'll move on to Zenescope with their fairy tale team up of Robin Hood and Gretel. Okay. It's the team up you all have been asking for. But we got some covers here. Is that Sophie Matas? I can't remember how to pronounce the names of all the artists here. I'm just kind of drawing a blank. But a couple of covers here for your consideration. And there is a 1 in 20 incentive here in the middle, which is a little bit more of a risque version of that other open order cover. So you could see there. Yeah. And again, it's a 1 in 20. God knows who's ordering 20 copies of this. Probably be tough to find. But once again, just because there aren't that many doesn't automatically mean they're valuable. Got to be demand. It's not just supply. It's supply and demand. So with that said, one more that kind of fits the bill here is the I Hate Fairyland cover here. Is giving us a little bit of a more risque version of the character. So, okay. If you're into it. Number 13. But here's some other covers I like. So let's just get into these and spotlight just some covers that I think are kind of cool. Starting off with the Batman First Night. Just these classic kind of vibes. This looks like it's it's book 2. It's a black label book, so it's going to be one of those oversized editions. So it's really a lot of room for the art to shine. But I like this kind of style of cover where you have like the silhouette and it's filled in with. There's a word for it. I'm just drawing a blank what it's called. If you know, put it in the comments. But I like it. I like that imagery. So got that one here. That's the cover A. Pretty solid. Cover B as well, with Batman kind of jumping into the night. And then I love the pulp style. I've talked about it before, and this is not the only one of the week. I think we got another one popping up soon. But you got that pulp look of the kind of beat up, distressed book, and the price sticker stuck to it. Cool looking. I don't know. I'm a fan of those, so I like it. Put it in here. All of these are open order. None of these are incentives, so it's $7, I think. So if you're into it, give it a shot. Carnage. This is a pretty cool just cover A, here for you. You got Carnage. Looks like he's gonna go biting. Is that Eddie Brock? Looks like he's gonna bite his head off. I don't know. It's just a gripping. It's kind of an image that kind of catches you. And it's not just this cover either. We also have, and it's part of this Symbiosis Necrosis Part 4. I'm not keeping up with the storyline, admittedly. Again, can't read everything. Should be reading it? Tell me down below. I just like this cover. And I like the 1 in 25 as well, because it's Bjorn Barons, and it's just kind of nightmarish looking. Just a little bit something about that haze on the body, and just the textures. It looks like wet, like ugh, it's just kind of creepy. So it is also doing a little bit, as you can see here, 30 to 35 early pre-sales. Asking prices around that $35 mark. So just a hair over ratio. We'll see if that sticks as the week goes on. But that's kind of where this Carnage number 6 is. Then we have, again, just randomly, Fantastic Four. Alex Ross is giving us this pulp kind of vibe. And like I said, I just like it. I like this style. I think it's kind of cool. I don't know what's going on in Fantastic Four these days because I haven't been reading it. But this cover, I like it. I think I might go get one just because I like the cover. Then I'll open it up and see what's inside and maybe see how the story's going. But I don't know how this plays into the story. Not yet, at least. Mentioned Invincible Iron Man earlier with the vampire cover, but just the regular cover A is pretty solid. And then we do have a 1 in 25, which is a Raphael Grassetti, I believe. And this is kind of a classic look to that old school silver, what was it called? The Silver Centurion armor here. I always liked this as a kid. When Iron Man got those silver and red, I liked it better than the yellow and red, which is supposed to be gold and red. I always liked this look better in when I was a kid. So this one kind of caught my eye. I think it's pretty cool. And it's a little bit doing a little bit over ratio here. As you can see, yes, some copies selling for about $20, and then there was a pre-sale also for 30. Asking prices seem to be looking for 30 to 50. So we'll see where this one kind of falls come Wednesday, but early pre-sale returns are showing it's got a little bit of interest here. A little bit of interest. Something to keep an eye on is the point. A couple other covers just rounding this out. I mentioned the Master and Apprentice earlier on the Star Wars books. Here we're having Balin and Shin, very popular characters from the Ahsoka series. Yes, this would be their first cover appearance, but they're not inside the book, so I wouldn't go crazy for these. because we've seen Star Wars do this plenty of times before, where they throw characters on covers. Remember Fennec Shand? Remember Bo-Katan? Remember the Mandalorian? And they're not inside the books; they just throw them on a cover. Yeah, there's a little bit of interest, but just take it easy. Don't go crazy. And then lastly, Little Black Book. This is an AWA book, and they've been doing also. I don't know. I'm a sucker for any publisher that does movie poster homages, and yeah, Fargo. It's done well. So you do a movie poster homage, you do it well. It's going to catch my attention, and I'm going to go, hey, it's cool. So that's where we're at. It's Fargo. I like Fargo. I like that cover. I'm not reading this story, the Little Black Book. I know I wanted to check it out, but I like the fact that they got a Fargo homage here. And with that, we got one more category really quick. We have a handful of incentives to go through. And first one up is a Star Wars book, High Republic #6. What is this? Lorna Dean? I can't remember her name. It's been a while. I've fallen a little bit behind on my Star Wars High Republic reading, especially. But issue 6, 1 in 25. She's looking pretty menacing there. I like it. I like it. Only one pre-sale I could find so far, and it was only $20. And then I only found one I've listed, and it's only looking for 33. But still, we'll see what happens with this. Not a lot. I thought there would be more. And popular character, female character. We'll see. So that's why I wanted to put it on my watch list and see where this is going to go. So we'll keep an eye on this as the week goes on. Also going to keep an eye on Ms. Marvel Mutant Menace, because people like bubblegum covers, even when the characters are, quite young. So just take it easy with this. But Ms. Marvel Mutant Menace #2. This is 1 in 25, and it's a bubblegum cover. So that's probably why it's going to sell as it has been. Cheap is $20, but then there's been some $50 sales on this one. And then people are asking about $45 to $50 on this one. It's a weird hobby we have. Some weird little niche collectors that will drive some of these prices up quite a bit. So we'll see. See how this one does as the week goes on too. But it is worth noting and keeping an eye on based off of those prices and those asks already. And then our final book, I would have put in my reading pile because I do like the series, even though, again, I'm falling a little behind, trying to keep pace, but so many titles and there's so much good stuff coming out lately that I can't read everything. But I have been enjoying the Incredible Hulk run by Philip Kennedy Johnson, and this continues here with number 11. But the reason I have it down here in the incentive section is because there is an Art Adams variant, which, again, Art Adams, has everybody forgotten about him, or is he going to be bouncing back again? Feel like we might seeing a return to some of these books because there's a Mystique coming out pretty soon. That's probably got a lot of collectors pulling out their wallets to spend. But even a few are spending on this Hulk, which I like his Hulk. I liked this monstrous version of Hulk. I don't know. Yes, he's got the weird bowl haircut, but I still dig it. It's classic to me. This is what I imagine the Hulk in my head. And I was always a big Hulk fan as a kid. I had a Hulk themed birthday party when I was like 4. It was like the Lou Ferrigno days, because that was like my favorite show as a kid. But anyway, yes, a copy did sell for a best offer on $20, so pretty cheap. But then there were also pre-sales for $35 to $55 on this Art Adams 1 in 25. So that had me looking, as well as the asking prices, which are looking for about $55 for these buy it nows. And then there is an auction that's got another day or so. It's going to end tomorrow, but it's already up to $31. So we'll see what happens. Worth keeping an eye on. And that's the point. That's what we're doing here, because that's why this is the Wednesday watch list. We're keeping an eye on these books. We're watching them to see what happens. And I'm also just telling you about stuff that I personally like. So with that said, that's all I got for you this week. Thanks for all the support. Hopefully you enjoyed that. Hopefully I pointed out some interesting books for you to go and get. Maybe I talked you out of spending money on some dumb stuff. I can hope. But again, it's just my opinion, and you're entitled to yours as well. So just because I don't like something doesn't mean you can't like it, and I'm not going to hold it against you. So with that all said, comics should be fun, and I open the doors for more comic discussion. So do so down in the comments below. Hit me up with a direct message, even if you want. And yeah, with that all said, I'll see you all later with some more content. All right, bye.